Hello, so today I will be showing you a tutorial on how to develop a UI plugin for Buildbot, and especially we got feedback from some users that it was very scary for them to start writing a UI plugin because it was written in JavaScript, and JavaScript seems so much scary. There is lots of tools, you never know how it works, you never know why it doesn't work. And so that's why I want to have a step-by-step tutorial to make sure that people can start quickly developing some JavaScript, and especially CoffeeScript, for building a Buildbot UI plugin. So first, in the associated blog post, I've written a list of tools and plugins that you need to install in order to be productive. It's a bit long, but it really helps for being productive and making sure that you don't struggle with things that don't work. So first is Node.js, which is the JavaScript virtual machine that you need, and it will run JavaScript, and it has a lot of tools to manipulate JavaScript, and even for generating browser-side stuff, it's very useful, and that's why Buildbot UI is based on Node.js build system. Then, in order to install all the Node.js tools, you really need to install Yarn. The base package manager for Node.js is not package manager npm, but it's not very good. It's not as much reliable as Yarn, and so I really advise you to install that. And it's very easy to install. Just click there and follow whatever they do describe for your own system. And then I use Atom, which is also multi-language and multi-platform editor, and it has a lot of plugins, and it's very useful for me to work either on Python and JavaScript. You can switch. You don't have to have one editor for Python, another editor for JavaScript. Everything is in the same environment. And then Chrome is the browser that I use for developing, and there are very useful extensions for Chrome, which is Batarang and Liveroad plugin that are used, that I will show you how to use. So once you have installed everything, I won't show you the installation because it downloads. You need to download and wait for the installation. It might take maybe up to 2 hours, and it's not very interesting. You need to install a bunch of npm tools that will be useful to bootstrap all the toolbox of npm. There is not just those two. There is behind the scene a lot of other npm tools, Node.js tools, but those one needs to be installed globally. So that's why you say yarn global add gulp yo generator buildbot dashboard. And maybe on Linux you will need to sudo here. I don't know exactly if it's needed, but usually you shouldn't use sudo when using yarn and all that stuff. Everything should be installed under your username, and if you start adding sudo, if there is something that doesn't work, it starts polluting all your user environment with root owned files, and then you need to do everything as root. It's really not recommended to use sudo when something doesn't work. Try to resolve it without sudo first. Then Atom plugins, there are a bunch of them, so a bunch to do the linter so that you can have some syntax error that are displayed directly in the editor. Some autocompletion for Python is cool. AngularJS can help. The beautifier I also use a lot. Highlight line, highlight selected. Those are very specific stuff in order to, for me, be better see where I am in the file. JAD is HTML template language, and RST might be useful to write Buildbot docs, and linter, which is the base package for all the linter plugins that you have here. So this is an example of the plugins that I use and I found cool. So now that we are done with the introduction, we can start the coding. So the idea of this tutorial is to build the grid view. So grid view is a view that were used in Buildbot. So if I go to buildbot.buildbot.net, the grid view is here, and you can see the project and the revision and the branch, and then all the builders. So you can see which work and which doesn't work, and there is also a flying status. So probably we won't implement everything on this tutorial, but we will implement the basic of the table. And we got Slondono, which already published a version on IRC, and he published it with the Python dashboard that I have published a few months ago. So basically, with this WSG dashboard plugin, you can just write your plugin in Python. So this is an alternative, but with this, you cannot have the power of automatic update that you have with the Buildbot UI. So I think it's worth to look at how you can do exactly the same with even less code with JavaScript. So this is the Python code that I did use, and also the template that he did use. So we will be writing this in JavaScript and CoffeeScript to see how it is difficult, or how it is not difficult. So first I will need to make myself a development environment. So I will clone Buildbot, and then use the makefile targets that are useful to start building a virtual environment. So I already done this part because it takes a little while to generate the virtual env. So now the virtual env is already there. So what I do is just dot virtual env bin activate, and then when I look at the Python, I am in my Python, and you can import Buildbot and buildbot.file. This is pointing to the installation that I made for this casting. So the second thing I will do now that I have my Buildbot environment, okay, I will create the dashboard using Yeoman. Okay. Buildbot create dashboard, and then I start launching Yeoman. So Yeoman is one of the things we have installed here with Yarn Global Add, and with the generator Buildbot dashboard. It's a generator for JavaScript stuff. So there is a lot of boilerplate around dashboard, so it might be cool, instead of going to the existing Buildbot value console view, I could just copy this and start modifying stuff, but it's much easier now that we have Yeoman. you just do yo, and it will look at all the plugins that he has, and there is now a Buildbot dashboard plugin that I can use, and then it will detect automatically the name of my directory and use that for the dashboard name. And then you can put a description for the readme and for the setup.py, and then the homepage URL, author name, email, blah 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 blah. It's a Buildbot and a dashboard, so this is a package keyword, and I want to use MIT for a license. And now it has created all the files needed for my dashboard. So I just have, now that I'm still in my virtual env, I can do pip install -e, and it will install Buildbot dashboard inside my virtual env. It takes a while, so while we are doing that, we will be so cast opening Atom. It was already open. So, and then we can look together at how it is. So you have a README, and you have the license, blah blah blah, and then the more important is everything is here, the source code. Guatlecoja is the configuration files that you need, that are needed for building. So there is the name of the plugin, which is here, and some technical details on how it works. You can look at the Guatlecoja dependencies, to the Guatlecoja documentation for more information, but usually this is not really needed to understand it deeply in order to develop a small dashboard. So the first controller that the first Coffee module that you have is main.module.coffee, and this is CoffeeScript. So CoffeeScript, I choose this language because I found it a little bit similar to Python, and I hope that this will be easier for Python-based developers to learn CoffeeScript than JavaScript. So this decision was made like 4 years ago. Now JavaScript is much better as a language. For beginner, it has a lot less subtleties to understand. So maybe now, if I restarted the project, maybe I would choose JavaScript, the latest version of JavaScript. But anyway, this is in CoffeeScript right now. You could actually write UI in JavaScript, Buildbot UI plugin in JavaScript as well. But as all examples are already in CoffeeScript, I think it's better to just use CoffeeScript. So this is the main module, which describes how it will be integrated in the Buildbot UI. Basically, you can say, okay, the name of my dashboard is this, and then the caption that will be displayed in the menu is that, and then the icon is a cycle, user cycle, and then the order in the menu is 1, and then the controller and the template are there. So the controller is described in dashboard controller. So Buildbot dashboard extend controller will generate this controller name. Okay, we'll generate the name Buildbot grid dashboard controller. And then it has a constructor, it takes the scope and the data service, and basically from the data API gets all the builders, and then it gets 200 builds ordered by started at. So I will just get the latest 200 builds and all the builders, and I'll give those to the scope, and the scope is what the template is saying. So when you go to the template, so the template is written in the JAT language. It's basically compiled to HTML, and it allows to have more concise code compared to HTML, because you are using the spaces and indentation in order to delimit the XML, the HTML tags. So here this means I have a div. So basically, if you don't have a tag identifier, then by default it's a div. And then when you say dot container, this means that you will create a div with the class container and the class my dashboard. And here this is the same, but this is a tag table, and then it will have the class table, and then a row, a header, and inside the header I do repeat for all builders. So I will create a header for all builders, and their content will be builder.name, so the name of the builder. Then I will create as many rows as I have builds in my builds list, so ng repeat build in builds. And then for the columns, I will repeat for all the builders, and if inside these columns, if the current build is the same builder as the current builder, then I will just display a simple build seeker. So this is really the most simple dashboard that you want to do. So let's see how it is displayed. So in order to test this dashboard, I will use the smoke test. So the smoke test is a handy solution in order to just have a master that is predefined with some builds in it. So in the smokes directory there is a run.sh script that I will launch. And as always, so the thing is, this script will fail if there is already Buildbot on the port 8010. So I would just kill all Python and run the script again. So kill all Python will actually kill my Buildbot that are in the background. So it basically creates a master, then creates a worker, initialize the database, and so on and so on. And no, it doesn't work as well. So let's see what's the log is saying. Buildbot grid view is not installed. It's okay, so well, there. Okay, now I have my master. it is here and it has nothing in it, and it also created a worker, so I will start it. Work the worker. And I look the run script. So I start it, start the master, start the worker, and then I will run the tests. So the test suite is pretty cool to watch. It will start another Chrome and then drive it. So I'm not doing anything. I just look at the Chrome that is controlled by the Protector end-to-end test suite. So it basically creates a bunch of builds and do some tests with it. So it's usually a bit faster because now that I am recording this session, my Mac is a little bit slower than usual, but it's really cool to see that everything is just running very fast. And now that I have a little bit of builds, I can just stop the tests. And now I have a master. If I go to the waterfall view, I can see that there are a bit of builds in it. And so now I need to go in the setup.py and I can see the name of my dashboard. So it's Buildbot Grid Dashboard. That's the name of the dashboard, so I will add it to my master.config. And restart my master. Okay, so now the master has restarted and I can see my new dashboard. So I can see that it has created all the columns and all the builds, one line per build. This is not very useful. It's really for example, because if you have 200 builds, then everything will scale vertically. So we need to gather some builds in order to have something that is a little bit better. So in order to show how it works, I will start the development environment. So it's just about typing gulp dev. Once you have installed your dashboard in developer mode with pip install -e, then you can just type gulp dev and it will start the development tools in development mode. And this mode, you just leave it there and it has everything. When you modify your dashboard, it will automatically recompile the thing and recreate something, and you will also be able to use the live reload plugin. So here I can enable it there. So this is the live reload plugin. When I click it, it says it's green, and it only goes green if you have gulp dev launch. If I look at gulp dev, I should see here something like server or reload server, I don't remember exactly, but this stuff is actually starting a reload server that will send a message to your browser that it needs to reload when the build has finished. So here I will just change the caption. I will just say, okay, it's great. And then I just hit save, and I see here Okay, I see here that it restart the script and then relaunch the test, and um, at the same time you can see grid here has changed, and everything is done via this is done via the reload. So I will change the order now, and the order, it's now 10, and it has rebuilt, and now the grid is in the end of my my dashboard just before build. I could say 1000, and it will be in the very end. Okay, and the icon also, it's based on Font Awesome. So Font Awesome, you have the list of icons that are available. So I want to choose icons that it's good for me. So maybe you don't want to the latest new version, because the Font Awesome version that we have is maybe a little bit older. So let's use I don't know, bars. Okay, I just use bars, and then the icon has changed and it's now grid. So now that I have shown you the basic of the dashboard example, I will start on the coding of the grid dashboard. So maybe I will explain a little bit more, because this is something that I have not done yet. So this will be more a part where I will be doing the live coding. So I start with the template from Slodondo, so which is written in HTML in Jinja template. So there is two options. Either we can just use HTML to JIT and just copy that here, and it gives me the JAD version for it, which is good but not perfect, because probably it will be a little bit confused. With the Jinja version. Yeah, I know it's not that bad, actually. It's not that bad. So, okay. And then there is a Python version. So what did it do? So it get the list of builders, and then the last 20 builds, and he wants the got revision version, and with the JavaScript API you can actually download the got revision just with one command. Revision.sort, revisions happen, got revision. Okay. Okay, so in this controller, the builders, I have them. The get builds, I have them as well. The list of properties, I don't remember, so I will just go dev buildbot. I just open the Buildbot in order to see, because I remember that it's done in console view as well. Console main. Okay, tree view. That here. Yes. Get builds. Scope. build egal data get builds, and then this is a CoffeeScript helper. With CoffeeScript you don't need to open parentheses to do call, so this is exactly the same. You can write whatever you want. As soon as you add a white space and then a tab, then this means that you will call the function. So the tab.getBuild will be called, and then this is the syntax you go for dictionary. So here also behind this is passing a dictionary, but limit 20 started at, and then I add the property got revision. Okay. And then my dashboard. So there is a little bit of style. Maybe I don't want this style to be here. So I just put it in my main style, which is empty. So grid dashboard, table th. I want a big font size. Okay, why not? And recognize input. Okay, looks like probably a translation problem. Okay, now he's happy. Then, so we created a table, builder revision in column, builder revision, for revision in revisions. Okay, so the equivalent for revision is ng repeat in AngularJS, revision in revisions. And then that's it. Okay, and for and then for builders in builders, it's the tr. So run row for by builder. So ng repeat equal builder in builders, and builder ID. So there are two options here. You can do the href, the basic href, but you can also use UI sref, which is what is used in other, and say builder I think this is like this, UI sref. So I just looked that this is the correct syntax. So builder, okay, looks good. And then builder name. So as you can see, I'm always looking at examples for the code that is already written in the other base, because I can't remember everything. And then there is one TD for each revisions. ng repeat revision revisions. Okay, let's remove this. Prints builds that have a revision which matches the revision in the header and matches the builder. Okay, so this is revision filtering, so I think I will do it more in the controller rather than in the template, because the template will be easier if I do that. Internal CSS style display links to the standard UI. So for revision in revisions, then I want to display all the builds for this builder and that revision. So I will need to sort so okay, so I will do the class in another thing. So UI sref equal so the same, trying to find build. Okay, builder, so this is this builder, and build dot number. So ng repeat equal build in get build for revision builder revision builder. Okay, so I display build dot number, blah 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 blah. Okay, I think I am done with the template. And now, so all the complexity of the template, I've put it in my controller. So basically I want to filter the revision and I want to match the build for each revisions. So the controller has to be a little bit more complicated. So I will do a little bit like what I did in the console view. Console view, I think it was already open. So what we do is build.endChange equal change. So I will set up a change event. Okay, so on change equal scope builds on change equal so I create arrobas in CoffeeScript. It's maps to this, so it's a shortcut to. In Python you will say self.onChange, but in CoffeeScript you just say arrobas onChange. And then onChange, this is a function. And then in console view I don't I make sure that I wait that everything is resolved before starting doing any computation. So if $resolved or not builds.$resolved, then I just return. So I wait that all the data is finished. So here what you have to know is that this API is asynchronous. So here what you will get is a collection, and the collection will grow as much as the data is fetched from the REST API, and as much as the data is updated when the live update arrive. So that's why you need to be wait with those onChange events. So onChange will be called whenever the builds or builders have an update. So first you may have the builder REST API that is done, so you will get a first onChange, but then your builds are not yet fully fetched. So I don't want to continue the algorithm until the builders and the builds are resolved. So that's why I say $resolved. If not one of them is not resolved, then I just return. So what I will do then is I will just do a simple for building builds. And then I will start look at the revisions. So revision so this is not the right version. So I have a pending pull request on the console view, because the got revision can be either a map of code change against revision, but it can also be a string. So you have to be careful. And yesterday I got a bug report for that, which I have not yet merged. Console view. And the code is there. Let's take this code. So if build properties and got revision, then revision again equal got revision, and then if it's a string, then the revisions dot push rev, else Okay, so now I have the list of revision, and then I want to build a map of builds per builder and per revision. So I need to get the builder for that build. Equal $scope dot builder dot get build dot builder ID. So get, so $scope dot builders is a collection, and the collection they have a helper in order to get so it's a collection is basically like a list, but as all collections are indexed by IDs, there is also a helper in order to get by IDs, which is very helpful for mapping builders, for example. So builder dot revision so we will add the list of revisions for this builder. So I'm still building the list of revision, but I also want to build the mapping per builder, per revision. So builder dot revisions. So if not as own property, I create it. So as own property is equivalent in Python. In Python, you would wrote if revision not in builder.revisions, but in JavaScript you have to use the as own property function of the dictionary. Builder.builds per revision dot push build. Okay, and then I say $scope dot, so in my template get build for revision builder equal builder revision return builder. If it does not exist because we don't have build, then return nothing. Okay, so I think I'm done on the code, and now I will start looking at it. So I have this one column, builder versus revision. It's a little bit big probably. TH, it's not a TH. Okay, dollar scope is not defined. Okay. Cannot read builders of undefined. Okay, so this one needs a little bit more explanation probably. This is okay. It's in JavaScript you have the concept of function and you have the concept of scopes and the concept of this. So here, here the this I already talked about it. It's the arrowbars, and it's the equivalent of the self in Python, but it's very different in Python. There is automatic this if you it's a little bit in Python. If you here set up a callback and say my callback is unchanged, the function reference, it embeds in it the fact that it's a method from an object, and it embeds the fact that when you call it, you will also you will also pass the self of the original method. And in JavaScript, this is not the case. So in JavaScript, you have to actually use a specific thing. So this is the fat arrow, and this is why CoffeeScript is nice, because in JavaScript you have to use another utility in order to do that. And here, having the fat arrow says that, okay, this is a function, but it will make sure that it will replace the this variable by the original this when the method was created. So basically this means that in the method you can use this method as a callback, and you can use this in this method. So you need to use the fat arrow when you are using function methods as a callbacks. This is basically what you have to remember. So here I can see one revision and then all the builders, but I don't see any builds in it, and I see an error here, so I will look at the error and finish. So cannot set property of undefined in add revision, so builder scope. Okay, let's add breakpoints and look at this. So my builder okay. Revision not push revision. Okay. Builds per revision, it's here. Okay. Let's remove that and restart. Still got an issue. Cannot read as own property of undefined. It's the same problem. Duplicates in a repeater are not allowed. So it's because obviously there are several revisions, so I cannot I need to push only if it's not there. If revisions dot index of revision not there. Okay, no more error, but it's not displayed. It's still not displayed. So let's start debugging. So here, this AngularJS and this $scope, I can see here, those are provided by the Batarang AngularJS debug tool. This is very useful for debugging. So what I do is I select an element, and then I can look what is the $scope for that element. So each element of the DOM has its own context, and when I go through this template, each time I do an ng repeat, it will create another context, so it will duplicate this row a lot of times, and each time you are inside this, you will have a scope, an color scope with this new the builder, which is that builder. So what I want to do is I want to look at this TR and look at the revisions and see what get built for revision is supposed to return. So here it returns nothing, obviously, because there is nothing here. And if I go to revision, I should have some of the revision already. Great. Okay. TD. So builder. This one doesn't have any build per revision. Actually, this is only this builder. Builds per revision. 29 blah blah. I have 10 builds. So it should work. Let's add another breakpoint. Oops. Get build for revision builder. It's get build or get build? Okay. Oh, no, I inverted revision and builder. Okay, so I know I have those builds, and then the template, I have a th. Okay, so start working. So maybe I want a much more tiny header here, styles.less. Okay, it's a little bit too small. And maybe I don't want to display it fully. Okay, so it's still an error. Dupes are not allowed. I need to init all the builders. For builder, I need to rebuild this build per revision each time I go to unchange, because if I don't do that, I will accumulate builds each time. So this is probably the reason why I have this error there. And now I will probably go to another part of this, because here on the testing part I will start to be a little bit it will be a little bit difficult to debug, because I only have one revision. I would like to see how the UI goes if I have lots of revisions, and this without having to run on the prod. I want to I'd like to still test my UI plugin on something that is live. And the end-to-end test was cool at the first time, because it allowed me to start very quickly. But if I want to start more revision, it will be a little bit more annoying for me to change that version. So let's go to the smoke, and I do buildbot stop, work there, buildbot stop, worker stop, work there, worker. Okay, and now I will create a test here. Dashboard. Okay, this is a kind of manual test, and I have started this test in Buildbot Travis. Okay. So this is based on the integration tests that we have in Buildbot, which are very handy to develop, to test Buildbot itself, but it's also handy to create automated master that just opens the UI and does everything needed. So here you have the master config, and then mktamp. I'm not sure it's really, but anyway. Setup config, and this one actually looking pass-through repo. It's here. Yes, what I will do is to look at buildbot.file and find the .git that is over here. So pass-through repo will actually be the path to my Buildbot repository, and I will use that to actually send a lot of change to the master, so that we can have the git step that fetch this change, and so that we have lots of lots of different revisions. And in the end of the test, it just waits forever, so that we can just here run 15 builds with 15 different revisions, and we have a big timeout here so that the test will not time out, and during that time we will have a Buildbot Buildbot master which will be online and which we will be able to look at. So here this was for Travis, so I used the Travis configurator, but here I will just build it manually. Let's start from integration template, a very simple builder. So I had some workers, I had some scheduler, builder name. I want several of those builders. Okay. Schedulers equal and I want git okay. Let's run trial. It skipped. So it's git Python. Got an expected keyword argument repository. Manual steps. Git. Its repo URL. Okay. So now I have my builds that are starting. And I can go to my new grid and I see all the builds there. And they are all gray because I forgot to actually put a color according to the version. So it looks better. So yeah, the problem here was the start worker equal false. I'm not sure exactly why it doesn't work. Probably because start worker does additional stuff. Anyway, this is not very important. So here, nothing. So see Buildbot URL is misconfigured. It should be that. Okay. Okay. So if I go to the console view, I see the console view running. If I go to my grid view, I see it starts saying one revision. So let's add some color. In order to add some color, I will change the template. So here, the batch status. I have the example in the console view. Status. I have to use results to class. And okay, and results to class. In order to have it, I need to import the results service. In my controller. And extend the scope. Still not. Badge status badge. Results to class.
Okay, so now the status are green, but I only have one revision. Why? Probably because my Git is not configured correctly. You set F1 and the change was you set F1. Okay. You set F1. There's only one there. Okay, in the tests. I can print it, but I can also see a last change. There is only one. So, not exactly sure why it doesn't go all the way. Okay, let's not wait for it. Ah. It's because when I created the work there for Buildbot, I just used the deft equal 1 because I was this was too slow, and eventually I need it. I need this history. Okay. Ah, I don't display. I need to display more builds.
So that's it. We have some dashboard, and this is displayed by revision, like the grid view. Then obviously we can take more time, like we did in the console view, in order to display maybe the revision a little bit like this, and we can continue to develop this. But here you can see with this integration test that it's not so much difficult to build an integration test that will just send lots of changes. And here I just added one git command. Oh, it is not the right. I just added Buildbot try this. Yeah. Oh, I closed the project. C'est pas possible. So there is just one git step here, but I could have added lots more git step in order to test maybe more stuff. But I hope that you got the point on how to do that, and that it's a little bit more complex than the Python, but you can do stuff with limited amount of knowledge, hopefully. And the template is, in my opinion, a little bit nicer to write, and the styles is separated. Everything is a little bit more maintainable if you take a little bit more time to understand all this setup. So I hope you enjoyed this cast, and as you can see, I'm at the end of my battery, so I have to finish it. I think I have talked about everything that I wanted to talk about, and please don't hesitate to ask questions on IRC or email mailing list. If you have some trouble installing the tools, if you need some help, if some things are not clear enough, please don't hesitate to ask questions. And see you next time.